Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Hello again. I'm Jason Hole, the Partner Success Center Director for Asia Pacific for Westcon, and welcome to the sales stream. I'm very pleased to be able to introduce to you this afternoon the first of our breakout speakers. Sarah represents CloudCheckr. I've known Sarah for a couple of years virtually now, and she is the Senior Manager for Distribution. Works really closely with Westcon. So as many of you may or may not know, Westcon provides CloudCheckr as part of our offer and market. So if you're an AWS partner, then I'm sure you're aware that you've used CloudCheckr, and I'm sure you're aware of its capabilities and have dealt with the Partner Success Center in terms of parts of enablement with respect to that. But today, Sarah is going to talk to building a secure security and compliance offering with CloudCheckr. So there's a lot of capability that exists, and with that, I'm really pleased to introduce to you Sarah from CloudCheckr. Hey, Sarah.
Hi, Jason. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me today. I'm super happy to be here and be able to present today.
And we're really pleased to have you, particularly considering that you're on the East Coast of the US, right?
What time is it there? It is 8:30, almost ready for bedtime.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll leave it to you, and really looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jason. Hi, everybody. Welcome, and thank you for joining CloudCheckr's sales presentation today. As Jason said, hopefully most of you guys have heard of CloudCheckr before, as Westcon provides their partners, you guys, our tool set for cost management. But today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the importance of utilizing our tool for security and compliance, which can help you build out your security practice. So as a way of introduction, again, my name is Sarah Muchko. I am the Senior Global Distribution Manager here, with managing Westcon as one of my largest partners and one of my favorite partners nonetheless. So to start things off, let's quickly talk about identifying areas of opportunities. So as I'm sure you guys are aware, that the journey to the cloud it's already underway, right? And everybody's journey is a little bit different, and not everybody's on the same page. But statistics believe that 64% of the customers will be fully in the cloud within the next 5 years. That's compared to only 5% that's in the cloud today. That's a big upside, a big opportunity for a lot of your partners, a lot of you guys to go after your customer base. But what you'll see on the right-hand side is that not only is the cost still a number one, factor of improvement for them, but security is just as important to these customers, which makes it even more uber important for you guys to be utilizing a CMP tool to make sure that you guys are building that security practice. Now, the struggle with security issues is that you aren't aware until it's too late. So did you guys know, and I'm sure you did, that a single breach can cost an organization millions or even billions of dollars when lost revenue, business interruptions, fines, penalties are all taken into account? And then breaches caused by cloud misconfigurations alone exposed nearly 33.4 billion records in total in 2018 and 2019. And that the average cost per lost record is $150. So if you multiply that by the number of records exposed, misconfigurations cost companies worldwide $5 trillion. That's a lot of zeros, and that's a lot of misconfiguration, where you as a partner could be helping your customer base. Now, I don't want to scare you guys. I'm sure that you guys are already aware that managing the public cloud can be super daunting, right? So here are 5 ways that you can start to improve your client's security posture by using CloudCheckr. Number 1, proactively monitoring their infrastructure security. Number 2, having a strong identity and access control. Number 3, redundancy for data security. Number 4, automate remediation. Number 5, managing regulatory compliance. Now, before we go into a little bit more detail about each of these security postures, you will notice that all these actions can be achieved primarily by CloudCheckr's best practice checks. Our best practice checks are essentially our bread and butter of our product. We have over 600 plus checks, and they span across cost, security, availability, and usage. Now, these checks are checks, again, that we built, but they also sit in conjunction with AWS's Trusted Advisor and Azure Security Center. What I mean by that is that these are checks that we built that sit within CloudCheckr, and we pull in the Trusted Advisor from AWS, and we pull in the Security Center from Azure so that you can see them all in one location. Okay, so number one, proactively monitoring infrastructure security, right? So by leveraging CloudCheckr's best practice engine, our security modules ensure that our customers' environments are set up correctly, and then you can monitor them for potential risk, right? So you'll see on the picture here, the logs, when you'll see the red, the yellow, the green, the blue, those are all different stages of the risk of what is going on within your client's environment. And then within our log analysts and activity monitoring tools, customers can easily drill down into security events and ensure that the resources configuration are, again, remaining in check, right? That nothing is outstanding, that they don't have anything that you're like, uh-oh, that's a red flag, right? So on top of that, users can also create their own fully customizable security alerts based off CloudTrail data, right? Which means that this can be tied to Lambda function to enable creation of self-service automation workflows. So we'll get into that in a couple slides a little bit later, but it essentially sets an automation up for you so things are done properly for you and you don't have to go into our tool set to do so. Number two, having strong identity access controls, right? Again, within our best practice checks, you can ensure your client's data is encrypted both at rest and in transit. Having proper permissions or ensuring proper permissions, are set up. For example, if you have an S3 bucket that was created publicly, but you really need it to be private, wouldn't you want a notification that just alerts you and says, hey, heads up, your team's creating a public S3 bucket. You might have data out there that you don't want to have out there, right? Now, if you're worried about user access, fear not, because CloudCheckr's super robust RBAC system allows you to assign users based on their job, right? So a lot of systems, a lot of places, a lot of different products, when you create users, it is just, okay, here you can have a read-only or you have full access. Ours gets super granular, and you'll be able to pick and choose what they can see, what they can do, and what they can click essentially within our tool set. And then once those users are created, right, wouldn't it be great that you can ensure that multi-factor authentication is being used, right? Especially for those root accounts, because if those are compromised, we all know what happens. There's a breach. So number three, redundancy of data security. So did you guys know that ransomware succeeds because organizations can't easily restore their data to the way it was before the incident? So it's super important to have reliable snapshots from different points in time. So again, using CloudCheckr's best practice checks, you can audit your client's environment for both incremental and full backups to ensure that the data is readily accessible. So again, if you look at the screen, you can see that our best practice checks will let you know, hey, if it's in red, nothing's been done in 30 days. You might want to check that out. You might want to make sure that their backups are being completed. Number four, automate remediation. This is what I was talking about a little bit earlier with the Lambda function, but we also have some capabilities within our system for an always fix now. So our automation tools can help with basic cleanup tasks like getting rid of unused resources, such as block storage, volumes, security groups. But we also have a lot of capabilities to what we call fix now, right? So within our system, there is a button that you can see that says fix now. You can hit that button and you can remediate the issue at hand, or you can actually set it up so that it always says fix this now. So when somebody spins up an S3 bucket and you don't want it publicly and you want to shut that down automatically, always fix now. So when that happens, you automatically shut down that S3 bucket, right? So that's what automation is all about. And most of our best practice checks actually have those capabilities, which makes it a no-brainer for you guys as a partner. And then number five, managing regulatory compliance, right? I'm sure that you guys get access all the time. How do I make sure that my environment is compliant? Well, with this report, right, users can know exactly where they stand up against 35 different regulatory compliance frameworks, including CIS, NIST, PCI, HIPAA, and more. And then with our snapback features, customers can get access up to 7 years of historical data, which is huge in this world. A lot of our competitors don't do 7 years of historical data. Wouldn't it be great to know that you gained a customer's environment and you really want to make sure that they've been good for the last 5 years? Cool, they've got 7 years of historical data. We can help out with that in no problem. And little fun fact, our tool set for compliance is actually frequently used by third-party auditing organizations to attest to regular compliance over time. So now that you guys understand why it's so important to utilize a tool for Cloud Checker, right? Now, those are only the top 5. There are so many different things that you guys can do, but I only have 20 minutes, even though I do talk really fast. But what I really want to make sure that you guys understand is how to make our tool set profitable, right? So you as an organization, it's all about the revenue that you guys bring in. So how do you do that utilizing a tool like Cloud Checker? So we'll talk about the main use cases of basically go-to-market, of how some of our other partners are utilizing our tool set today, right? So number 1, using Cloud Checker is a pre-sales tool, right? Wouldn't it be great if you ingested a customer's data into Cloud Checker and it would produce a report to show them their cost savings, show them the security vulnerabilities that they weren't aware that they had, and then you could say, hey, look, this is what I can do for you. This is all the security vulnerabilities that you have that that you guys don't know that you're doing, and now you just won their business, right? That's huge for a partner, right? To be able to utilize a tool like Cloud Checker. Number 2, we have a new report, our well-architected review tool, that it's essentially a tool that allows you guys to report on what you guys are doing on their behalf for their WAR, essentially, their well-architected review. And soon to come, we've got some more things coming out, so stay tuned for that. But it is going to essentially map to our best practice checks, where you will not even have to leave the tool to essentially do a well-architected review. So stay tuned for that, but more to come. I don't even know if I was supposed to say that yet, but more to come. And then the next thing is building a pro service model, right? So when you build a pro service model, you want to be able to bring in additional revenue. Okay, so what are some examples of how we bring in additional revenue? Okay, so let's do some pro service of a security vulnerability check, right? So on a month, you're going to charge $850 to check their security vulnerabilities. Make sure you set any remediation. Make sure that everything is set to green and not to red. And you're going to charge them $850. Well, guess what? You just did that where you set up automation and you send the reports to yourself on a monthly basis. And now you did absolutely nothing other than just produce the document to your customer and show them that you are doing something on their behalf that our tool set is doing for you. And you made $850. Now multiply that times 30, 40, 50 customers, right? That's additional revenue that you didn't have. And then how about audits, right? So we're talking about compliance. So why don't you go out there and charge them $10,000 a year to run an audit to make sure that they are meeting their compliance need? They're staying HIPAA compliant, they're staying PCI, they're staying SOC 2, they're staying NIST. And again, it's the same concept, right, guys? Is that you are essentially just building a report, sending a report to yourself, and then showing your customers that they meet their compliance. It's an easy $10,000. You multiply that again by 20 customers. You just made $200,000 in 1 year by doing what? Letting the tool do it for you, right? So that's huge. Okay, so the last 2 things, or next 2 go-to-market strategies. Providing our tool set to the end user for access, right? So maybe you do, quarterly basis, what we're going to get into in a month or in a second here. You do quarterly basis, you show reports to your customer, but they're like, man, I really want to see this tool set myself. I want to see what I can do. What are the capabilities? Charge them. Give them full access and go ahead and charge them, right? And then they can do everything on their behalf. Maybe they have an IT staff and they don't need you to have the IT staff, but you own their billing, right? Still give them full access, but charge them a cost associated to Cloud Checker. And now you're making additional revenue just selling them a product, which I'm sure you guys are mostly used to. And then the last one is really what Cloud Checker is known for. It is our bread and butter, our managed servicing. Our partners, we have a super, super robust partner tool set that we can get into in another subject or another webinar. But essentially, what do I mean by that, right? So a lot of our partners, what they do is when they build a managed service practice, they build Cloud Checker into that suite, right? So hey, you're going to break it into 3 different tiers. Each of those tiers, you're going to be able to upsell the customer, right? So maybe tier number 1, you guys are just giving them some standard reporting, maybe some inventory of what they've got going on, say on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis, right? But it's all bundled into your service. You're not charging them anything additional for that. But then they're like, hey, but we really want some additional reporting, on security best practice checks, on our compliance to make sure we're meeting those needs. Cool. We'll be able to provide you all that for an additional service or additional fee per month, right? And then tier 3 is, hey, you know what? We're going to do that for you, but we're also going to give you full access to the tool. We're going to be able to do everything that we do so you can see it yourself. You can, again, just give them read-only access, right? They're not going to go on there and mess anything around, but you're going to be able to give them that capability to be able to do what they need to do within the tool set. One thing I will tell you, though, is that customers that use Cloud Checker grow 50% faster than customers that are just using the native tool, right? And why is that? It's because we provide customers with the insights to build the confidence, right? So when you know what's going on in your environment, you know that you're secure, you know that you've got cost savings, it's going to create cloud adoption. It's going to create customer satisfaction. They're going to be happy. They're going to say, hey, oh my God, we just saved $10,000 a month, but we've got it in the budget still. Why don't we go grow our environment? Why don't we go expand here? Why don't we go expand there? Right? So now you're giving them that visibility that creates that adoption that just makes them grow, right? And that helps to build the MRR and the ARR for additional revenue for you guys, right? So it's not only about top line where you can, or bottom line where you can make money with our product, but it's also about top line and growing them and making them, satisfactory type deal. So if anything from that, just remember, guys, is that, our tool set is really going to help just with you guys and with your customers. So with that being said, let's talk about a few different client success stories. This customer, right, was on task for reducing the need for manual work within their DevOps team, right? They were burning up 90% of their time with auditing questionnaires and preparation. Again, that goes back to all the automation that we've got set within our tool set, right? So what do we think the solution was? Surprise, surprise. They started using Cloud Checker's total compliance features, which eliminated the need for all of that manual work, and they could take that time and delegate it elsewhere, right? So that right there just saved the organization money, right? So it might not be just cost savings on the tool sets itself, right, in the environment itself, but it's also internal, right? What they're doing on the day-to-day that could save time, that can help them grow as an organization. And if they grow as an organization, what essentially happens? You guys make more revenue off of them. They grow, they're happier. It's a win-win. Next customer. So this customer didn't have a tool set to help with monitoring their public cloud for security breaches. Same concept that we've been talking about the whole entire session, guys. So surprise again, they started using Cloud Checker's best practice checks, which helped avoid those costly security breaches and disruptions of services. But then on top of that, which I'm sure you guys are fully aware of, is that we've got a right sizing tool set and help this customer save 20% on their monthly bill. So not only were they just looking for a tool for security breaches, but then they found out that they can actually save an additional 20%. It was a no-brainer, and they continue to move on, so on and so forth. And then the last customer that we've got, right, their clients' environments were super convoluted, right? And even with using taggings, they spent hours analyzing AWS logs to determine how much each customer's environment cost. And on top of that, they had to be HIPAA compliant, right? So, all right, so let's go find a solution that can fit all of those needs. No brainer. Again, I mean, it wouldn't other be than Cloud Checker, right? So we were able to pinpoint the wasted resources, improperly sized instances. It helps them save their money on their infrastructure. And then by utilizing the total compliance module that we have, they were able to validate that they were HIPAA compliant. So again, so not only did they save time, they saved money, and then they were able to save secure within their environments. So I know that was a lot. I know you guys might have some questions. What I would do is I would urge you guys to reach out to your Westcon sales rep to make sure that if you want to learn anything more about security and compliance offering, how to get access to it, any additional collateral that we have, they can definitely help you out in that realm. But I want to thank you guys for taking the time today to be present within the sales presentation for Cloud Checker. So with that being said, Jason, I will give the show floor back to you, sir.
Thanks so much, Sarah.
Yeah.
That was great. And I guess one of the takeaways I've got from this and that I'd like to share is, for the majority of the partners that are already working with Westcon on AWS, they've already got a lot of the capability with Cloud Checker today through Westcon. So, if there's one thing that's a takeaway from today, I'd encourage every partner that's on the call today to talk to the Partner Success Center about ticking that box and getting the compliance and security module added to the capabilities that you've already got in the tool set. Often coming to events like this, you leave and think to yourself, crikey, what do I do next? What's the very next thing I should do? And if there's one thing that everyone should do, it's this. So, Sarah, thanks very much for coming in and speaking with everybody today.
Yeah, you're most welcome. Have a great day, Jason.
Great. Fantastic. Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks.
Okay, so I think we're running a little bit ahead of time. Now, the good news is that our next speaker or speakers are from F5. So I'm really pleased to say we've got Dave Arthur, who's a solution architect at F5, along with Wade Smith, who are standing by. And their topic for today is partnering with F5 to secure workloads in the AWS cloud. So with that introduction, let me hand over to Dave and Wade. Hello, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good afternoon, Jason.
Afternoon, Jason. How are you going?
Doing great, thank you. And thanks so much for joining. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say in your topic.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Well, I'll kick it off. But before I kick it off, Wade, do you just want to do a quick intro of yourself, mate?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. So, I'm a national partner manager with F5. Been at F5 for over a decade. So, managing our audience today, your partners.
Thanks very much, Wade. And so, as Jason introduced, my name is Dave Arthur. I'm a security solution architect, and I lead up our security practice here in Australia and New Zealand. So, going to talk a little bit today around some of the more modern application security solutions that F5 have, and how we go about helping you protect workloads that are in the AWS cloud. So one of the important things to always consider is this shared responsibilities matrix, right? So when people go to the cloud, they go, okay, there's going to be a lot of benefits here. We're going to be able to outsource certain parts of our infrastructure responsibility and some of our security risk and the like. But it's always really important to be mindful that you'll get so far with that because the cloud providers are absolutely responsible for providing security of the cloud infrastructure. But it's still the customer's responsibility to ensure that the workloads that are operating up in those cloud environments are actually secured. And that's not AWS's responsibility at all, or any other cloud provider for that matter. So that's still incumbent upon the customer. And really, as a partner, that is where you have the professional services opportunity to go in and provide those security services to go above the cloud provider's responsibilities and help secure those workloads in the cloud. And so today we'll go through a few of the specific use cases that F5 bring to bear in this space. If you're not aware, F5 has an extremely comprehensive portfolio. It's extremely broad these days, but we didn't want to try and scattergun it and talk to every single thing that we do. So we're going to pick off a few key use cases that are specifically relevant to this topic. But if you want more information about any of the other stuff we do, or even more detailed information on these particular topics today, then feel free to reach out to us. So the first bit I wanted to touch on is these are the use cases that we're going to cover off today. So I'll give a quick introduction into each one of them, and then we'll come back at the end and Wade will cover off what are the partner benefits in all of this, and what are you guys able to get out of this as well. And you'll notice if you have a quick skim through this table, it's a bit of an eye chart, but everything that we've set up in these plays is so that it not only benefits the customer, but it benefits the partner along the way. The AWS representatives get looked after as well, and then obviously F5 have a stake in this too. So I'll go into the first use case, which is around web app and API protection. And so any web app or API that needs anything more than a nominal tick box, in the security compliance checkbox, is something that you should be looking at having a more advanced or comprehensive application security capability around. F5 have a really long heritage in providing application security services to web apps, and in more recent times have really focused in on API security as well, because as data is the new gold or the new oil, web apps are definitely in that category, and now increasingly APIs in that category. So where organizations were previously talking about having an API first strategy, we're now coming across customers that have an API only strategy. So when we're talking to customers and we're finding out what kinds of projects that they've got on the boil and the like, the trigger words to look out for whether they need something better than that nominal security is really anything around any kind of compliance regime, whether that be PCI or HIPAA or those kinds of compliance regimes. But additionally, anything to do with revenue or brand reputation or anything that can be considered a business critical application. These are the kinds of resources that need that elevated level of protection. So particularly when we talk about the accelerated digitization of services, largely caused by the pandemic responses, that's really accelerated the digitization of our services. We have work from home workforces that are external. We have business models that have pivoted from more traditional modes of operating to much more digitized online transactional sorts of business models. All these services now are exposed in ways that they weren't necessarily historically, and it means they need a level of protection. So even things that weren't necessarily considered business critical previously, in the current environment, are absolutely critical to the organization's ability to generate revenue. Right? So the other thing to bear in mind is that we can help secure these kinds of applications and web apps and APIs, whether they're traditional applications based on traditional three-tiered kinds of architectures, whether they're residing on premises or whether they're in a more modern environment like a public cloud environment with a more modern application architecture using microservices and serverless technologies. So really it doesn't matter what type of application that needs to be protected or what kind of environment that it resides in. F5 have a very strong play in terms of being able to provide those security services. We've also done a lot of work on moving beyond the traditional self-managed capabilities that we provided in the past. And we've had managed services in this space for quite some time, but we've recognized the market's trend to want to be able to self-service access security controls, not have to worry about the platform and the infrastructure and updates and availability and resiliency and all those kinds of things, but just manage the security policies that operate atop of that platform. And so with that, we have an as a service offering in the market at the moment. We're in the process of uniforming that so that it is in line with the self-managed offerings and managed service offerings that we have, and that'll be coming out in the near future. So one of the other critical parts with that as well is that we've also brought in the ability to now move your security policy from any of these environments. So whether you are running it on a self-managed instance on premises and now you want to move it to a self-managed instance in a public cloud, we can actually take the exact same policy that you had on premises and take it up to that public cloud environment, but put it on a more modern platform that is suited to be running natively in that public cloud environment. And similarly, if you have to take that application now and take it from the public cloud environment and bring it back to on-premise, maybe for a compliance reason or economies of scale reason or something like that, then again, you can bring that latest version of the policy and bring it back into that traditional environment and still provide the same protection to that application. So the next use case is really about what happens when we go beyond what a WAF protects for, or web application firewall protects for. And so this is where we have bad actors that are using the application in legitimate ways, so as it's designed, but in unintended ways for malicious purposes. So WAF's very good at protecting against flaws in the application itself or in the underlying framework. But the next step is protecting the application from fraud and abuse. And that requires specialized solutions to do that. And so the things to look out for when we're having these kinds of conversations is really around things like automated attacks, bots, credential stuffing, fraud, manual fraud, those kinds of things. So if you've got customers that are aware of any of those kinds of considerations in their environments, then that's really a trigger for starting to look for these more advanced capabilities. So anytime that there is an opportunity to extract value from an application, that's when these actors are going to leverage these kinds of techniques. So if you're thinking about anything to do with e-commerce, ticketing, auctions, travel, gift cards, banking, and actually gambling is a really big one, right? Any of these kinds of scenarios where there's pots of money, pots of gold behind those applications, and the ability for a bad actor to extract value, that's where these solutions come into play. So when these applications are abused, it's typically for a financial impact, but it can also be because the victim is being used as a middle stage for that ultimate financial goal. And so, for example, rather than attacking a bank application, which is traditionally very well secured and there's a high barrier of entry, if you like, to being able to compromise that application, attackers can look to compromise a third party. So some party that has a very large amount of personally identifiable information inside that application, which they can then leverage to go and do things like new account creation or fake credit card applications and the like. And so they've used that information that they acquired from the other party to then go and commit fraud against their final intended target. And so that's obviously a problem for the bank in terms of a financial loss, but the intermediaries also, it's a big problem for them as well, because they're actually losing their customers' personally identifiable information out, and that becomes a breach notification event. So the other component of this as well is that customers don't always necessarily have a good grasp as to the level of automated threats or the level of fraud, particularly manual fraud, that they may be facing. And so if customers don't ask this, don't have a good idea of how to quantify this, or they think they may be a victim of these attacks, but they can't quantify the scope of the problem, we actually have this free offering, and it's a 60-day free assessment whereby you as the partner can go set this up on behalf of the customer. We feed metadata, so just transactional data, not actual payload data or anything like that, up into our cloud service, and we analyze that data on behalf of the customer. And we provide back to you a set of dashboards that you can take back to your customer and say, these are the issues that we found, and these are the scope of the issues that we found. And so that's a powerful conversation, because then you're bringing the customer's data back to them and you're saying, this isn't a theoretical thing. This is what's actually going on in real time in your environment. And here's how we can bring a solution to mitigate those particular attacks. And then the third one that I wanted to touch on is the more modern application architecture sets of security services and controls that we have. And this is extremely relevant for public cloud, not exclusive to public cloud as well. There's plenty of customers running Kubernetes environments on premises, but almost certainly if you're going to a public cloud, particularly if you're setting up new applications or you're decomposing a monolith and turning that into a microservices environment, you're almost certainly going to be coming across customers that are running Kubernetes. And so we've been doing a lot of work in terms of taking our rich heritage of application security controls and making them applicable to form factors for these kinds of modern environments in these microservices architectures. So in this mode, we can operate as a Kubernetes ingress control and provide all those security controls to ensure that the traffic entering into the Kubernetes environment is one, inspected, authenticated, and authorized and allowed to actually go in, and that it's clean traffic. And that's actually at the Kubernetes ingress control, right? So it's not sitting north of the ingress control like our more traditional security capabilities would. The other part of that is that we can then go right down into the Kubernetes cluster, and we can actually provide service mesh capabilities to provide security controls for microservice to microservice communication. So right down in the actual cluster itself. Sorry. And so with that, that's all I was going to cover in terms of the actual 3 use cases for today. Like I said, if you want more information about this, we're happy to provide much more detailed drill down into this and some customer specific use cases. But for now, I'll hand over to Wade to run through the actual programs and how it can be of assistance to you guys as the partners.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. So yeah, look, F5's been a partner first organization since really inception. Everything we do is partner first. But I guess I want to talk a little bit about today what actually in it for you as our partners as well. So obviously we spoke about the product side and those solutions, but one of the things, it's not always about product. Most of our partners enjoy a pretty healthy pro services attached to F5. It's ongoing, and just the nature of F5 sitting in front of an application, you often get called in. It might be just to deploy that first initial F5 and might be attached to one application. That often grows because if you're the owner of that F5 and they come back to you as a partner, it might be another set of applications because you can run multiple applications. It's also the customer's biggest asset as well. Like, you know, apps run the world these days, and obviously COVID has brought that on in terms of a quicker expansion of digital apps. So you often get called as the F5 professional to come back in and put more and more apps behind this F5 because customers really want that experience of a single way to deliver their applications and secure their apps. The other thing as well, there's a lot of repeat business. We find that, you know, F5 might initially be sold for that web application firewall, but they might want to add API management, or they might want to add bot security, etc. So it is quite easy to expand and expand outside of just that single opportunity. So you are engaging with that customer's biggest asset, and that's where the money is. We know money's behind the applications these days. It is a really good opportunity to be attached to that. And as different apps and workloads move as well, the F5 itself is actually attached to that. So it does take you into new opportunities across different personas, across different parts of your customers' organizations as well. But for us, you know, we're a partner organization, and we really, regardless of your level, even if you're new to F5 or you're looking to get into F5 as a partner, we reward partners who initiate the opportunity with our deal reg system. We are quite unique where we deal reg across the entire ecosystem, including the disti, to protect you. And there's quite a healthy actual margin in actually doing that. So I'm going to head over to the next slide. Dave, if you mind pushing that button for me. Thanks. Just to talk a little bit about some of the use cases and what rewards and incentives we have. So the first one we spoke about was migrating customers pretty much on-premise to AWS. So one, we have taken the initiative with our partner AWS to even reward the end user. So you can see here, there's a bunch of credits that customers can apply to their AWS investment for looking at existing workloads that are on-prem and moving them to AWS environment. And based on the number of units that you move and the workloads, they'll apply a credit to that as well. So there's also, in terms of incenting across the entire ecosystem, well, AWS reps themselves will want to be involved with this. So don't be afraid to bring the AWS rep in, or we can as well, because they're going to get some spivs and some accelerators if they do happen to get behind you and move this AWS workload into the cloud as well. So look, there's extra margins involved for partners that do this as well. You can do it through CPPO. You can do bring your own license, and that will still be included. And of course, the F5 enterprise licensing agreement as well. So same with the fraud and the abuse use cases as well. Again, there's credits for the customer, so you can have that conversation. I think what's important as well, the larger customers with the AWS EDP commits as well, it actually will apply to 50% of their F5 spend towards their EDP. And of course can be bought via Westcon and CPPO. Same with the modern app stack as well. There's some credits for trial. So if you want to trial the proof of concept with AWS and F5, we can help you. We've got resources to actually do that as well. And there's SPIVs all the way across that. So again, yeah, that's what we have in terms of for today. We thank you for your time. If there's any questions, I'm sure Jason will ask away. But if you do want to know more, you want to go into more of a deep dive, feel free to get in contact with your Westcon account manager, and we're more than happy to take you into more detail and take you through these solutions, you know, in a one-on-one sense as well.
Fantastic. Thanks, Wade. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for going through the profitability piece for the partners. And look, we're looking forward to talking to our partner community about opportunities they're working on and working with, you know, as a team to get some success in the market. So thanks very much, gentlemen, for your time today and for covering off the material. And I'm looking forward to extending some of the topic in terms of Westcon program for CPPO a little bit later on today also. So thanks for seeding that idea early on, Wade. Appreciate it. That's great.
No worries, Jason. Talk to you later. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thanks very much, Jason. Cheers.
Okay, so that was F5. Now I'm really pleased to be able to introduce and invite into the session now a colleague from HashiCorp. So as you may or may not be aware, HashiCorp is a fairly recent relationship with Westcon, and we're really excited about our relationship with HashiCorp. We ran several events in the first half of this year introducing HashiCorp to the market, and you know, this is a great culmination to those initial discovery webinars. So with that, I'd like to introduce Yogesh Patel, who is the Partner Sales Manager from HashiCorp, and the topic today being Unlock the Cloud Operating Model with HashiCorp. And with that, Yogesh, welcome, and over to you.
Thanks, Jason. And thanks everybody for giving your time. My name is Yogesh, and I look after partner sales alliances for HashiCorp in the region. We are excited to be here with you today. So what exactly HashiCorp does? So let's cover some overview points and you know, what is the relevance of HashiCorp in a cloud environment. From where we are from a cloud success perspective, everybody has seen pockets of success when it comes to cloud adoption and cloud migration. I would say where folks want to focus and improve tends to be primarily in these three areas. One is time to market, primarily when application development teams can release code and new feature every few days, you got a leg up against your competition. So time to market, time to you know, production. Second is reduce risk and improve security and governance. While enabling self-service is a critical aspect in any of the customers' CI/CD pipeline, it is equally important to maintain strong security governance policies. And setting up those policies, auditing the interaction is also very important. And it's very, very important to bake those into your security controls. And the third one is improved operational efficiency. As organizations adopt multi-cloud infrastructure, they are confronted with many different interfaces. And when they confronted with many different interfaces and workflows, HashiCorp helps your workflows and implement consistent cloud operating model. This will allow to have a single set of workflow, reduce the training and onboarding burden of the employees, and simplify their security and governance challenges. The consistency improves the operational efficiency of managing infrastructure at scale. So, what HashiCorp is? Here's a bit about HashiCorp. HashiCorp was founded by Michel Hashimoto and Armand Dagger in 2012 with a goal very simple: revolutionizing data center management, application development, delivery, and maintenance. HashiCorp's tool provide a control plane for each layer of cloud, enabling organizations to make the shift to the cloud easy. Each product addresses a very specific technical and organizational challenge of cloud infrastructure automation. Uh, we primarily play into, as I said, provisioning, securing, connecting, and networking of apps and infrastructure to support them. Based on the adoption from community, organizations choose to work with HashiCorp to industrialize their cloud strategy at scale. You can see numbers to industrialize and see here that the number of customers across the geographies who have benefited from HashiCorp's product. And HashiCorp has pioneered the creation and use of cloud infrastructure automation, providing a consistent workflows to provision, secure, connect, and run all infrastructure for any application. You can see Adobe, Barclays, Pandora, Roblox, Cloudflare are some of the more than 1,700 enterprise customers we have helped to transition from their manual processes or ITIL practices to self-service automation and DevOps practices. The exciting thing for us and our partners is that we are just getting started. There is tremendous opportunity for everybody uh, to help customers like these to accelerate their move to the cloud. And apart from your investments into other partnerships like say AWS, Azure, or Palo Alto, or even F5 or ServiceNow, we have a vast partner network from a technology standpoint, and we want to leverage your current investments into those partnerships and help you get a better ROI while you are investing into HashiCorp. In fact, we partner and collaborate with biggest names in the industry to help you get more from your current and planned investments. I mentioned those top priorities a moment ago, and here are few specific customers who have benefited from HashiCorp's tools and technology. Pandora and Roblox are cloud native companies and that need to quickly innovate their product to stay ahead of the competition. It's just one tap away for them so that they can release their new features in minutes, and these outcomes are the one which matters to them a lot. Adobe use Vault to secure the gut of their creative cloud platform, and we are approaching almost a billion transactions per month with Adobe. And when it comes to Toronto Stock Exchange, uh, they managed to get their outcomes by accelerating their cloud infrastructure provisioning, by adding new compliant capacity at scale, and it was a game changer for them. All of these companies focused on these outcomes I mentioned earlier, which is time to market, security and governance, and operational efficiency. That's the really powerful thing here. We would like to help you and your customers achieve these outcomes at equal efficiency. With that context, let's talk about the scale and accelerate basically to scale and accelerate your cloud strategy. We are in the middle of generational shift the way computing works. Data centers are historically defined by physical attributes like so physical servers, switches, physical parameters, applications which are running on premise, which don't need to change all that often. So the app servers and middle layer work just fine. We call it as a static IT environment. Now, of course, things are changing, and things have changed drastically over the last, I would say, 16 to 20 months. Your applications, which are system of records, are still running on prem, or your customers' applications are still running on the prem, and systems of engagement are running on elastic public clouds, and that's we call it as a dynamic infrastructure. However, invariably, this new system of engagement must connect to your system of record, which are on premise, which can be your customers' core databases. Their core banking must be running on their on premise or their critical database, which customer can't really move to the cloud. And with the current environment where constant transformation is the new normal, in the past we have witnessed this trend used to happen over a period of say 5 years or 6 years. Now the things are changing almost every quarter, and that is where having more dynamic modern infrastructure, which is fueled by self-service and API economy, that's the future, and that is where the customers are moving to cloud and looking to benefit out of the economics of scale. The shift is happening everywhere, and as organizations dig into this shift, these things get more complicated in a multi-cloud environment. Folks are now often asking, how do I interface with multi-cloud infrastructure consistency even as a partner when you are dealing with multi-cloud vendor strategy? And when I'm saying multi-cloud, it's not only more than one public cloud. It can be your private cloud, it can be your existing on-premise, it can be a combination of hybrid and public cloud. At a glance at cloud landscape highlights the difference between the static and the dynamic world. Each infrastructure has its own tooling, their own API to perform certain tasks, and let go layer by layer starting from ground up. First layer, and which is very important, is provision. The infrastructure layer transition from running dedicated server at limited scale to a dynamic environment where organizations can easily adjust to increase demand of meaning of thousands of servers, scaling up and down based on the usage. As architectures and services became more distributed and sheer volume of compute node increased significantly. The second layer, secure, which is the security layer, transitions from fundamentally high trust world enforced by a stronger perimeter firewall to a low trust or a zero trust environment with no clear or a static perimeter. As a result, the foundational assumption of security has shifted from IP based to a identity based security. Now the next one is networking or connect. The networking layer transitions from being heavily dependent on physical locations or IP addresses of services or applications to a dynamic registry of services and discovery, segmentation, and composition. An enterprise team does not have the same control over the network which they used to have with physical assets. And that is where some must think that service-based connectivity and how it impacts the whole networking model. And the last but the most important, which is the run. The runtime layer shifts from deploying artifacts to a static applications, from a static application server to deploying applications with a scheduler atop with a pool of infrastructure which is provisioned on demand. In addition, new applications have become connections between the services that are dynamically provisioned and packaged in multiple ways. Additionally, each cloud provider has its own solution for these challenges. For enterprise IT teams, this shift in approaching the compounded by realities of running hybrid and multi-cloud infrastructure and with various tools to manage the technology which they provide. There is big more to the picture too. Each cloud may be different, but they do all have one common thing. They support a few control points at each layer. This is just underscores how architectures are different in dynamic world. Instead of monolith apps deploying on a web server every few months, now we have containers delivered continuously. Networking now resolves around loosely coupled services and a service registry. The foundation of security is now about who you are and not where you are coming from. And infrastructure as a code enables the rapid provisioning and automation which supports everything above it. How can you account for this difference in APIs or similarities in control point? That's exactly what HashiCorp does. Challenges: how do you interface with multi-cloud infrastructure consistency? Solution: we look at it, the establishing common central registry services with a single control plane. Your goal should be to establish a central shared service platform with a single control plane across all the above four layers. This smooths over these API differences and gives your team a unifying workflow for these 4 control points of IT stack. What's happening in each cloud infrastructure has a different API for each of these 4 layers and different technologies native to each island of compute, which brings us to the HashiCorp's cloud operating model. We call this cloud operating model an approach to enable all of your teams to run provisioning, security, networking, runtime through a single control plane at each layer. This approach helps all of your developers, practitioners to be more productive, and it connects them meaningful ways to be cloud that matter. A common cloud operating model is an inevitable shift to enterprises aiming to maximize their digital transformation efforts. The HashiCorp suite of products helps you to maximize your customers' digital journey to efforts. The HashiCorp tools basically seeks to provide solutions for each layer of cloud to enable enterprises to make shift to the cloud operating model. Enterprise IT needs to evolve away from ITIL based points. With this focus on cost optimization towards becoming a self-service enablers and focused on speed optimization. It can be done by delivering shared services across each layer and the cloud designated to assist teams deliver new business and value to the customer at speed. So as a reminder, we build bunch of products that your team can use today. We have a growing community of dedicated practitioners that help other and help drive us forward. But let's focus on major scenarios which can help you and your customers. Let's start at the bottom and then work up. Terraform provides the foundation of cloud infrastructure automation using infrastructure as a core for provisioning and compliance in cloud operating model. Vault, in a traditional high trust model, a requester or application makes the request to the backend would give a credentials required to get to the data. In the cloud, where low trust networks or zero trust network, that's dangerous. This is how the vast majority of the high profile security breaches have occurred earlier, and that is where basically the vast majority of the security breaches have happened earlier. Vault inserts itself into middle of these and create an intermediary strip. Console, in the traditional model, network devices are traditionally identified by IP addresses or IP ranges. So in the world today, when a new application components are deployed, it has following steps. One, file a ticket, deploy infrastructure, then again another file a ticket, go to the database, or another ticket to file to the firewall. And this often takes more than weeks and months in a common infrastructure issues. And that's exactly console helps you automate the whole network automation. The goal of Nomad is to hide complexities of underlying target environments from operators, developers focusing on delivery a simple, flexible workload orchestration, which unifies and consolidates all the different workloads to a single one. It does not matter whether your application is containerized or non-containerized. It does not matter. HashiCorp basically gives you flexibility to implement your product by two ways. One is self-managed, or another way is HashiCorp managed. Self-managed is where customers buy licenses from our partners and implement into their choice of cloud or their choice of on-premise or off-premise. Wherein HashiCorp managed is where partners invest or partners basically help customer build on HashiCorp SaaS-based service. This is really a popular option coming up in the recent weeks. HCP, which is HashiCorp Cloud Platform, is basically a complete, fully managed infrastructure, standardized workflows, and push button deployments for partners so that partners can invest energies and time in building up solutions for their customers instead of maintaining the environment or instead of putting resources to maintain, install, or upgrade the environments. And that is where HCP is coming out to be a very strong solution. On your cloud journey, basically, we also make a progress combined with the partners. We provide customer success managers to even partner-led deals. Almost 90% of our business is partner-led. And that is where basically we work with our partners right from onboarding them, enabling them, making sure they're certified and making sure they're capable to provide all end-to-end services to their customers. So let's get started. Pick up an impactful project, and then we can work out or scope out the workshops together, like infrastructure as a code, which we can work out and talk to your customers, identify what are the areas we can help them automate, and work with our partners to develop the workflows to manage their multi-cloud infrastructure. Help them provide multi-cloud compliances by provisioning and securing their infrastructure as a code, or even their secrets management or encryption as a service. We also work with Vault on centrally store and access their distributed secrets. It can be their database passwords, or it can be their cloud super user ID passwords, which can be managed along with their API keys. We can rotate their certificates, SSH credentials, and even more. And this brings to basically end of our session. Feel free to reach out to Jason and Westcon team. We have been working. I'm very sure most of the partners must have received our bundles, which are currently launching with Westcon on AWS Marketplace, as well as through a CPPO partners. So happy to engage Westcon and the partners to bring HashiCorp bundles to your customers at a very competitive and a discounted price. Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Yogesh. Thanks for the topic today, and thanks for covering it so thoroughly. It's been a exciting few months, and we're really looking forward to working with more partners with you together. So thanks for attending today, and thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, so look, I might just take a moment just to remind everybody that we've got a prize draw for the sales stream. I've just been pinged to be advised that there's a number of you on the stream, but not as many as there are on the stream have actually gone into the draw. So do take a moment to enter the draw, put your name in and your email address so that we can contact you if you're lucky enough to win. But yeah, then be in the draw for the prize for the sales stream, which I believe was the Fitbit. So with that, let me just take a moment to look at who we've got next. We've got Palo Alto, and I'm very pleased to introduce Achin, who is the JPAC go-to-market leader for software, next generation firewall at Palo Alto Networks. And the topic for today is securing cloud applications on AWS. So over to you, Achin.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Hope my audible. I'm clear.
All good. Yes.
Great. Thank you so much, team. Good afternoon, good morning. My name is Achin, and I lead the go-to-market for software firewalls for Asia Pacific and Japan in Palo Alto Networks. In the next 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes, I like to spend some time to talk about the Palo Alto Networks solutions which are available to secure your cloud applications. Second, I would like to cover a couple of personas, how we can actually address them, which kind of solution we should take to them based on a relationship, and what are the conversation starters we should have. And the third, better together with AWS. So starting with my first slide, probably what I will talk about it is that let's go with some kind of a market data. I am sorry, I'm just trying to just run my slide. Yeah. Now, if you see the market data, we are in a multi-cloud world. We are actually, if I do a report which is done in last year, there are 94% of our organizations who are embracing at least one cloud, one CSP in the world. And out of those 94%, 60% of the organizations are actually embracing 2 to 5 CSP platforms. Now, while we are doing this, there are not only the organizations only expanding their cloud platform adoption, their cloud native architectures are also proliferating from VMs to newer architectures like container and PaaS. Now, as we adopt new cloud platforms and architectures, we face several challenges. One of the most important while migrating your workloads to cloud is that there are technical complexities associated with moving applications and workloads to the cloud. The second important is new cloud platforms and workload architectures have new security requirements of what we should do. So in order to maintain a comprehensive security and ensure compliance, you need to secure the entire stack. And as you can see the slide, from the host configuration to the network communication. To describe security need for cloud workloads, we like to use this pyramid, which is just similar to the Gartner best practices for protecting your cloud workloads. Now, this is important because if any one protection fails, there are compensating protections in place to make sure that the workload is still safe from threats. And as you can see, there are a range of techniques listed here, right from the bottom, vulnerability and compliance auditing, to API security, to network security control. In an ideal world, all of these controls will be used together because they all address different threat vectors that an attacker can use to compromise the workload and data. So today, organization likely implements most of these features via our Prisma Cloud workload protection capabilities. But at the same time, our CWPP needs easily are addressed with our software firewalls also. Now, when I talk about the software firewalls, we are talking about the VM series and the CN series, which are the virtual firewall and the container firewall. So the VM series virtual next generation firewall protect apps hosted on VMs in a cloud environment, while our CN series container next generation firewall secure apps hosted in the Kubernetes environment, whether they are self-managed Kubernetes deployment, OpenShift environment, or cloud managed environment like EKS, AKS, or GKE. So let's talk about two use cases primarily for our software firewalls, next generation firewalls. We'll cover two common use cases addressed by both Prisma Cloud and the software next generation firewall for full stack cloud workload protection. By adding the software next generation firewall to your cloud network security strategy, you can strengthen your vulnerability risk management and secure outbound communication to mitigate command and control C2 and data theft. So now there are some gaps. Palo Alto had identified with vulnerability risk management. There are numerous vulnerability management tools available. Any of them can scan the environment and produce a laundry list of vulnerabilities. Your security team, a customer security team, is burdened with addressing each vulnerability, or they hand it off to application team with the ask that they patch each vulnerability. Now, this is a very arbitrary approach, and there is a minimal context about the risk inherited by each vulnerability. So manually combining through hundreds or thousands of vulnerabilities become overwhelming and too complex to manage. Finally, there are always cases. Sorry, my slide got dumped. So finally, there are always cases when cloud workloads cannot be patched. Now, updating software may require extensive QA testing before deploying the patch to production. There are always new zero-day vulnerabilities which are not patchable. Or maybe your deployment leverages proprietary operating systems which is not supported by agent-based vulnerability management system. So while patching is always the best security practice, security teams need compensating controls to mitigate risk when patching is not an option. Now, in that case, Prisma Cloud and Software Next Generation Firewall directly addresses vulnerability risk management by giving you the power to identify and prioritize unpatched systems, while still assuring continued runtime security throughout the process and protecting against zero-day threats. Prisma Cloud provides context-based visibility into vulnerabilities across host, containers, and serverless functions, as well as automated prioritization of vulnerabilities. At the same time, the software next generation firewall, paired with our threat prevention and wildfire security services, delivers inline machine learning to proactively block vulnerability exploits. These are very powerful, compensating controls you can apply in between system patching. This solution also prevents zero-day threats up to 95% of the time without having to submit for deeper analysis. Anything that isn't prevented in line can be sent to your sandbox for detonation and further analysis. Now let's talk about how to protect the outbound traffic in the cloud and why it is important. Cloud environments are constantly changing, and we all know that. The developers and the DevOps teams are constantly standing up and tearing down workloads in order to develop application at high velocity. New application deployments have external dependencies such as container images, third-party code, and libraries. So deploying cloud workload at such a fast pace often happens without security controls or verifying the legitimacy third-party software. Now this gives adversaries an opportunity to land inside your network. So the network and security team want visibility into traffic, leaving the cloud, but their tools don't deliver. So no one knows if the traffic contains sensitive data or content. Now, without deep visibility into egress traffic, no one will know if their communications are secure. So finally, attackers are becoming more sophisticated each day. They are morphing command and control and evasion technique across DNS and web traffic. So our Prisma Cloud and software next generation firewall helps protect cloud environments from outbound based attacks. With Prisma Cloud workload protection capabilities, security teams can establish trusted software providers and prevent untrusted images and vulnerable code from running across the environment. While at the same time, the software next generation firewall paired with our enterprise DLP, DNS security, and advanced URL filtering security services delivers best in class network security for any outbound communication. Now, enterprise can easily sensitive data as well as stop data theft. DNS security and URL filtering ensure the legitimacy of outbound DNS and web traffic. So the software next generation firewall proactively block threats found in outbound traffic. Now we have been talking and I've been talking about Prisma Cloud, next generation firewall complementing each other. But let's put an example. If there is a question from the sales team that what's the difference when we do a software next generation firewall and a Prisma Cloud? And I like to use an airport analogy to answer this question. And this is just simplify in a very layman language that what the Prisma Cloud do and what a software next generation firewall do when they work hand in hand. So in an airport security, we need two key proactive protections: a way to control over who has access to which plane, and a way to prevent weapons or dangerous materials from getting on the plane. Now, boarding passes determine who has access to which gates and which planes. If I don't have the right boarding pass, I can't get on a plane. The limitation of boarding pass is that they don't have any concept of threats. My boarding pass can ensure that I only have access to my plane, but it cannot tell me if I am carrying a weapon with me. That's why airport use full body scanners too. So the scanner is placed at strategic points in the airport to inspect each traveler for threats. So our Prisma Cloud microsec products and NGFWs work together the same way that boarding pass and full body scanners work together. Microsegmentation determine which workloads can talk to which, and the next generation firewall inspect the traffic content or threats. And an organization may choose to rely on one or both depending on their tolerance for risk, their regulatory compliance requirement, and their budget. But the important thing is that one follows the other. Now, I give you an example of one of the incident and one of the research that how our solutions can help. Both these solutions can help customers. So this is about a cryptojacking in the public cloud, a rocket group who attacked the vulnerable servers in one of the incident. Coin mining, the malware was deployed in the vulnerable Linux servers. Now the vulnerability was exploited. A command and control connection was established to the external center, and the whole objective was to actually have the administrative rights of the entire host which are sitting in that environment. Now that was an evasion of an agent-based security. Now while this is happening, our solutions, Palo Alto solution of Prisma Cloud and NGFW can do these three things. The Prisma Cloud continuously monitors cloud workload for vulnerabilities. They avoid gaining access to any vulnerable server inside the ecosystem. While at the same time, our VM series software generation firewall and the security services stop our app traffic threats and prevent known and unknown malware from the outside world. Our URL filtering service detects and prevents communication to the malicious command and control domains. And at the same time, the wildfire malware analysis services prevents the download of the malware. So Prisma Cloud prevents installation of coin miner and uninstallation of any existing security products, because the coin miner was trying to uninstall all the cloud security products like a administrator can do if has the rights to do that. So Prisma Cloud solution avoids to do that. To sum up, Prisma Cloud actually looks at the vulnerability scanning, and the software next generation firewall protects the environment from the outside world. Now, as business adopt these new cloud applications and architectures, they face several challenges. There are technical complexities associated with moving applications and workload to the cloud, and the new cloud platforms and workload architectures have new security requirements. Now, if you see this slide, we have the personas. We have identified the persona right from the infrastructure head, the network security, cloud infrastructure, and all the personas which you will actually interact when you go to the customer. So the whole idea of showing this slide and talking about these 2-3 slides is that which way we should go and approach this customer with which product. What is the right way to have the right conversation with the right personas, because they really help us to take our discussion forward in the customer environment. Now, there are always 3 questions I always ask myself to determine which product to lead and when talking with customers. Who am I talking with, or what do we do with a relationship within the account? How mature is the customer cloud presence, and what is the strategy with respect to cloud? And the third question is, what are they trying to accomplish with their cloud security? Are they focused on compliance, or are they mainly concerned about securing their containers without pissing off the DevOps team? Now, in some ways, personas are the easiest way to determine where to start. If we are talking to our typical Palo Alto network personas, like we all do, the network security team or the head of infrastructure, it is almost the best way to lead with our software firewalls. The reason for this is that this is an easier conversation to have with the network security practitioners. We can simply ask them if they want to have the same visibility and control they have with their existing PA series firewalls to their cloud and container environment. Now, conversely, if we are talking to the DevOps or cloud security team, they will often see firewalls as a legacy, and they will be more readily accept to a cloud native solution like Prisma Cloud. Next, we have the customer's cloud maturity level. For customers who are primarily lifting and shifting applications into the cloud or containerizing their apps without re-architecting to take advantage of cloud native architecture, it typically stands to reason that they will want to secure these apps similarly to how they secure them on-prem. Now, we can easily position the software firewalls as the logical extension of the on-prem security posture to the cloud environment without even having to relearn how to use the tools. Now, for customers who are born in the cloud and have mature DevOps process, they will again most likely opt for a solution that easily integrates directly into their DevOps process and can protect the entire CI/CD pipeline from code to cloud. And that is what Prisma Cloud is built for. And the last but not least, we have the actual use cases for customers who need inline threat prevention, full application visibility and control, including for customer apps. You need advanced security capabilities like DLP, malware analysis, sandboxing, URL filtering, etc. The software next generation firewall are the ideal choice. But if the customers are primarily looking for host, container, or serverless security, or if they are looking specifically for a microsec product, then we can position Prisma Cloud. Now, just because, and during this all conversation, just because we are talking about leading with one product over the other, that does not mean that we lead one. It does not mean that you can't just cross sell the others. Sellers have a success cross selling in both directions, including myself. So if you start with the NetSec team led with next generation firewalls to start the conversation, but during that conversation, the cloud persona will most likely be brought into the picture. Once you have sold the NetSec product, the NetSec team on the software next generation firewall, you can use the co-positioning we talked about before to help you provide the additional value of Prisma Cloud. Likewise, if you determine that a customer has a pretty mature cloud strategy and you have a relationship with the cloud personas, you can start with Prisma Cloud. Once you have proven the value of Prisma Cloud, you can ask for introductions to the NetSec teams to cloud sell next generation firewalls. Now, what it helps us? It helps to increase the deal size, is actually competitive differentiation, because you may see that the offering of our end-to-end platform story resonate well with the customer. So while we start with one single product, but cross-selling and upselling clearly makes us a distinctive edge in front of the customer, because we are trying to cover the entire security posture in their environment. And it also bring a consistency and a confidence in our relationship with the customer. Now, moving towards better together with AWS, how we are doing, what we are doing, and how together with AWS we are very useful to our customer community. Now, with AWS, we have a shared responsibility model with the customer. So AWS manages and controls the components from the host operating system and the virtualization layer down to the physical security of the facilities in which the services operate. And AWS customers are responsible for building secure applications. We at Palo Alto Networks provide a wide variety of best practice documents, encryption tools, and other guidance for our customers can leverage in delivering their application level security measures. In addition, AWS offer hundreds of features and tools to help customers meet their security objectives, ranging from network security, configuration management, access control, and data encryption. Now, when I spoke about only the Prisma Cloud and the next generation firewall, actually, if you see in this slide, it's a comprehensive platform which we work and integrate with AWS to be offered to our customers. So what we are doing, AWS is offering a cloud native security to its customers. And on top of that, we are complementing with our security offerings, and we are making a better looking story to our customers where they can actually secure not only their cloud applications for vulnerabilities, their outbound communication, but actually they can have an automated orchestrated response solution from us on AWS. We are integrated deep with AWS native services. So any customer, you will have this interaction with many customers, any customers who are willing and who are doing a migration of their cloud applications or mission critical workloads from a data center environment to a cloud environment, their first preference would be that they would like to have the same security posture or coverage which they had in the data center environment in the cloud. They would protectly if they are already a Palo Alto customer, they will be doing with a hardware firewall, and they want to cover the same applications like SAP, like database, who are moving to now cloud with AWS. They want to have the same security posture, and exactly Palo Alto network integration with the native services of AWS makes that happen. And it is a seamless migration from a data center environment to a cloud environment. And since these all test performance has already been done, so these are very seamless without any disruption. Now, what business better outcomes for our customer? Since this is all tested services and integrated, we have the speed and agility which we can commit to our customers with these migration services. We can offer a continuous security governance and compliance. And of course, the cost, which is a very, very important factor for our cloud, our operation cost and complexity reduces with working together with AWS and Westcon. Now, this was my last slide. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity. It's back to you. Yeah.
Achin, thank you very much for covering that off today. Securing cloud applications on AWS. Appreciate your time to share with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so in the interest of time, let's jump across to our next speaker. I'm really, really pleased to introduce Justin McGrath from Sumo Logic. Sumo Logic is another recent vendor relationship. And again, at the beginning of this year, we had several reseller introduction webinars with Justin's team. And we're really pleased to have Justin coming on now to talk about providing continuous intelligence to your customers. Justin, welcome.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks for having me today.
No problem. Over to you.
Okay, awesome. So I was trying to manipulate the slides. So yes, so as Jason said, today I'm going to give you a very brief introduction to Sumo Logic. The terminology that we use is providing continuous intelligence. You'll hear a lot of vendors talking about data analytics, but you'll understand why Sumo prefers the term continuous intelligence, because we're providing insights to our customers so that they can understand what is going on within their environments. And once they know what is going on, they can understand what normal looks like. They can also start to understand when there are abnormalities happening or potential abnormalities happening. They can then start creating automated alerts so that the appropriate business owners can then start to take action and start the remediation process. So in terms of, okay, great, this slide isn't showing, which is the key one. Let's see whether putting it in presentation mode works. That one hasn't either. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to try and wing this one, Jason, I'm afraid. So basically, the Sumo Logic platform is a cloud-native, multi-tenant SaaS application. We are built and architected on AWS, and the goal of Sumo is to take any kind of workload from a customer's environment. Now, this could be from their physical environment, from their cloud environment, from their hybrid environment, from containers, from cloud, from firewalls, from endpoints, from any kind of infrastructure within a customer's organization that can generate a log. Now, once we take that information, we stream that into the Sumo platform, and we start providing intelligence around what is going on. Now, we talk to our customers and our prospects around the building, the running, and the securing of their mission-critical applications. Now, Sumo is purely a visibility tool. We're not a tool that's going to go in and start preventing something from happening. We're going to identify that there's a potential issue, and we're going to alert to the appropriate teams for them to then jump in and start their remediation process. So you'll be hearing today from Palo Alto, from AWS, from HashiCorp, from Mirantis. These are all technology alliance partners of Sumo, whereby they stream their data into the Sumo platform, and we provide continuous intelligence around the workings of those data sources. So, when we're talking around helping an organization build their new cloud environment, they're going to be using a public cloud platform. They're going to be using Kubernetes. They're going to be using containers of some description. And what they do with Sumo is they point those data sources into Sumo, and we provide them with insights to the health of that new cloud environment. So, and giving them insights is to, if whilst they're building their app, have their developers pushed test code into production, and that's causing an issue. So it's being able to alert on that quickly and help those people remediate as quickly as they can. Now, as we've seen over the last couple of years, retail outlets have had to drive their customers to use their apps and their websites because their outlets have not been open. So, a lot of these organizations, they use Sumo to provide a positive customer experience. And if they can provide a positive customer experience to their customers, they can then drive incremental revenue. And so we're giving these organizations insights into how their application is working so that they can continue to deliver that optimum user experience and drive incremental revenue. Now, we've helped the customer build something. They now need to do that monitoring piece. And okay, so the dev team pass on to the operations team, and the operations team are looking for, are there any spikes in usage or unexpected spikes in usage? And the great thing, or one of the great benefits of the Sumo Logic platform is the fact that as I said before, we're architected 100% on AWS. This means, adopting and the benefits of the cloud is that we can scale, and we can scale at the click of a finger. So if a customer suddenly has a huge influx of data coming in, the Sumo platform scales automatically to accommodate that increased usage. And when that spike decreases, then the platform compresses again, so that we're not overusing their license, giving the customer the ability to spike and trough as necessary. So we're working with the developers, we're helping them build something and giving them insights into that new build. We're then handing it over to the operations who are going to do that ongoing run and monitoring and troubleshooting piece. But obviously, as we know, with the cloud, more and more people are saying, okay, well, my data's in the cloud. How secure is that? So from a security perspective, we're looking at the same set of data, but we're putting a security lens over the top. So there's four areas where we can work with customers from a security perspective. The start, or the crawl piece, is ongoing audit and compliance. So we have an app catalog, which is around 300 plus pre-built integrations and dashboards, and customers can very quickly understand what their PCI or their ISO 27001 posture looks like, because they can use those pre-built and pre-configured dashboards for that usage. So, we're talking around that ongoing compliance piece. The second piece is around security monitoring and analytics. And this is giving customers the ability to be a little bit more proactive with their threat, using their data to identify threats. And the Sumo platform provides every single customer free of charge with the CrowdStrike threat intelligence feed. So whilst their data is in the Sumo platform, we are looking at the entirety of their data, and we're looking for anything that is either malicious or potentially malicious. And if we see something, then again, we're creating alerts to go back to the security team to do their investigation. In more recent times, we have added our fully fledged cloud scene, which is aimed at more enterprise organizations and managed security service providers. And this is where we're taking the entirety of a customer's security environment. We're bringing it into the Sumo platform. We're providing multiple layers of correlation, and we're bringing it down through various algorithms and machine learning capabilities to a handful of insights for the security analyst team to investigate and piece together what's happened and understand whether this is a false positive or whether it's something that needs to be actionable. And the most recent acquisition from a security perspective is our cloud SOAR capability. So again, it's taking where scene finishes, it's where the SOAR component starts, and that's where you can start building in automated playbooks and remediation playbooks. Again, aimed primarily at that enterprise and service provider markets. Now, hopefully I can show you a slide that's actually got some content. So, in terms of you guys as the partner, typical questions to ask your prospects and your customers. What is your cloud strategy? What cloud platforms are you adopting? How are you monitoring? What tools do you use to gain visibility into your new cloud environments? Because what you'll find is that a lot of organizations that are moving from on-prem to the cloud, they've got some fantastic tools that are built for on-prem. They're not built for the cloud. So they need to start looking at cloud native capabilities and cloud native technologies, the likes of Sumo Logic, that can provide that intelligence and provide them with visibility around what is going on in that new cloud environment. Now, how are they architecting their new cloud environment? What services are they using? Are they using Docker, Kubernetes, AWS, and so on? The more information around what data sources they're going to put into Sumo, the easier it is for us to build out a proof of concepts, be able to show value very quickly, and showcase the full benefits of the Sumo platform. And again, how are you centralizing all of your log data? Everything starts with a log or a metric or an event. Bring that into the Sumo platform, start building dashboards, start understanding what normal looks like, so that you can then start to build out the what if scenario if normal becomes or starts to appear to become abnormal. And from a security perspective, how are you securing your digital transformation? We're reading on a daily basis around the number of organizations that are doing that cloud transformation. They're transforming their business. How are they doing that? What tools are they looking to consolidate? What tools are they looking to use? Are the security team getting smashed by security alerts, and they're getting thousands of alerts a day, and they just can't manage that? And what tools are they using, to analyze their data to understand their current security posture? So there's lots and lots of different ways to discover what your customers and prospects are doing from a cloud perspective. And the more information that you know, the easier it is for you to then say, okay, well, you're looking for a cloud native platform. You're looking for something that's built in AWS. Sumo Logic is the logical answer here. One of the key things around Sumo is that it's very, very, very simple to get up and running. Every prospect starts with a trial environment. They start at our website, they click on free trial, they select the instance where they want their data to reside. More often than not, for ANZ, we use the Sydney instance. They then log into the Sumo platform. They start looking through the pre-built content that we have within the app catalog. And then they simply install that app, set up a collector, and within minutes, they can start getting insights into their workload within the Sumo platform. Very, very powerful, very, very quick, and the time to value is unparalleled. And just some in sort of to wrap up, some key information, from a partner perspective that is paramount to understand. So we run a deal registration process. So if you have an opportunity, or if you believe you've got a customer that we should be talking to, please register that opportunity, work with your Westcon account manager or partner success representative, get that opportunity registered. We have a very, very straightforward trial and POC process. Like I said before, everyone starts from a trial instance. You go to our website, top right-hand corner of every page, start free trial. Very, very simple to get up and running. I would never, ever say that Sumo is too expensive or too cheap. We have the ability to hit virtually any price point that a customer has within reason. It all comes down to the use case. If we can understand the use case, we can understand the project, we can understand timeframes. It's very, very easy for us to ensure that that customer is going to have a great outcome leveraging Sumo. Now, I've talked about many, many use cases, but it's simply one license for Sumo. And it's just how you use that license as to how we answer or meet a specific use case. We're talking to, you buy the Sumo license and all the capabilities there. It's just how it's up to the customer and you as the partner and how you guide that customer to use the platform. So whether it's from that building perspective, whether it's from that monitoring perspective, or whether it's from that security perspective, it all comes down to a single license, a single platform for your customers to leverage. And the last thing that I'll talk to is the fact that if you're selling Sumo, you should be selling services. Now, whether that's consulting services, whether that's professional services, optimization services, managed services, there should always be the ability for you as a partner to attach your bespoke services to that sale. So that's all I wanted to talk to today. I apologize that the slide that had all the visual context, it wasn't available. I'm more than happy to share that with anyone that's interested. But if there's any questions, I think we've got a couple of minutes left. Please throw any questions out there. I'm more than happy to answer them or take them offline.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks for covering your topic today and sharing with us. In actual fact, you've done us a favor because we're actually running a minute or two behind, so now we're bang on. So thanks so much for that.
My pleasure.
We'll be collecting. There's been a number of questions through the comments throughout the afternoon, and what we will do is collate those, put answers to them, and then provide that as part of the pack for every attendee that has joined today. So, Justin, thanks very much for joining.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you. All right, so next up this afternoon, we have in the sales stream, we have Nigel Spence from Checkpoint. So Nigel is the Cloud Security Partner and Alliance Manager for Checkpoint. And today his topic is monetizing AWS security and compliance with CloudGuard. Really looking forward to hearing this. Thank you, Nigel. Over to you.
Cool. Thanks so much. Thanks for the very warm intro. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for giving me your time this afternoon. I'm hoping you'll find the next 20 minutes both highly relevant to your business and also highly actionable. So the topic I want to drill into in my session is really how to monetize this amazing and largely untapped cloud security and compliance opportunity that presents itself to partners on the AWS platform. So you're no doubt familiar with Checkpoint as a cybersecurity vendor. I mean, we've been around for 27 years. We protect many of the largest and most security conscious enterprise and public sector customers. But what you may not be as familiar with is our cloud portfolio, which sits under the CloudGuard brand. And over the last 4 years or so, we've proactively built out this amazing and comprehensive portfolio that basically secures every part of a customer's AWS cloud environment, from the network to containers and serverless workloads. So the first part of this session is really about the challenges faced in cloud by your customers and the incredible relevance of the CloudGuard portfolio to those challenges. Essentially highlighting the enhanced capabilities CloudGuard brings to an AWS environment over and above the AWS Cloud Native offerings. The second part, though, is where the rubber really meets the road. It's about how you as partners take these offerings to your AWS customers and make a bunch of money doing so. So it's very focused, very actionable, and hopefully very lucrative for you guys. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Nigel Spence. At Checkpoint, I look after the CloudGuard portfolio, but I'm 100% focused on partners such as yourselves and also our Cloud Alliance partners such as AWS. So with that said, we've got a ton of stuff to get through, so let's get going. When you poll customers and ask them about their rate of public cloud adoption, so research groups like Gartner and Forrester and so forth, they conduct these sort of polls all the time. And continually, the same concern and barrier crops up, which is customer security and compliance concerns. What will our posture look like in cloud? Will we be breached? Will we be on the front page of a newspaper? So essentially, best practice cloud security, best practice cloud compliance leads directly to accelerated AWS cloud adoption. And the value proposition of the CloudGuard portfolio is we provide exactly that, best in class, best practice on AWS. But why CloudGuard for cloud security on AWS? It essentially comes down to these couple of key issues and items. Checkpoint are well known on premises. Customers know and trust our technology. As those customers move to the AWS cloud environment, they're very comfortable going there with Checkpoint. They know us, they trust us, and so on. What we provide is enterprise-grade security that ticks many of the boxes that are not ticked by the AWS Cloud Native offerings, AWS Firewall, and so on. And those enhanced CloudGuard capabilities allow customers to accelerate their AWS cloud journey. But at the same time, because CloudGuard is deeply integrated into the AWS platform, you get the enhanced capabilities while still using the common AWS management tools and consoles that you're familiar with, like AWS Security Hub and so on and so forth. And we've worked very closely with AWS, both from an R&D perspective and an architecture perspective, to ensure that we've got detailed, deep technical integration documents and architectural documents available to partners such as yourselves. How to do it easily, how to do it right, best practice, and so on and so forth. Our solutions are available with a local Australian presence, so no data's going offshore. It's all good to go. One of the things, I guess, for partners to explore with customers are a range of unique security and compliance challenges that they face when they move to cloud. These are things that they won't necessarily have been aware of on premises. As they move to cloud, forewarned is forearmed. These are the sort of areas where they can come a cropper if they don't have trusted advisors such as yourselves guiding them and advising them. So first and foremost is multi-cloud is hard. If you're trying to handle, AWS for production and development, but maybe you have some SQL workloads or Windows Server on Azure or something, it's difficult. Developers are another area of complexity. They care about pragmatic outcomes. They operate at speed. They don't think about security. And cloud, of course, is about ever-changing workloads. It's nebulous. It's constantly evolving, constantly changing. The tools that provide security operatives with visibility and configuration data, in many cases, are quite immature and quite basic. So it's hard to see what you have in cloud, how it's configured, who put it there, what the permissions are, and so forth. And the challenge, of course, is that if things do go wrong for the customer, then there's the whole shared responsibility model card that kind of gets dragged out. So the idea is that, working with partners such as yourselves, we can guide the customer through their cloud journey, make sure that they have a great experience and don't struggle or suffer with any of these sort of issues. The real item that I guess we'll drill into in a bit of detail is around cloud misconfiguration and configuration drift. And so if you talk to Gartner or Forrester or any of these sort of guys, they will always tie this back as the #1 cause of cloud data breaches. Cloud assets not being configured correctly or drifting over time. Things not being encrypted, things allowing public IP access, that sort of thing. And so we'll delve into that in a little bit more detail. The CloudGuard portfolio has certainly evolved and grown over time. So I really just want to highlight here to you the breadth and scale of the portfolio. Of course, we have CloudGuard Network, which is essentially cloud firewall. You can deploy it as infrastructure as code, Terraform templates, it's auto scale, all that kind of stuff. But of course, it also has the enterprise grade capabilities, sophisticated IPS, IDS, layer 7, security on the outbound traffic, all those sorts of things that enterprises need in cloud. So that's kind of the cloud network or cloud perimeter piece. But we also have a whole raft of solutions around CloudGuard workload for AWS Lambda and Docker container workloads, so hardening and protecting those workloads, and for web-facing applications. So think of CloudGuard AppSec as next generation WAF. Dialing down the false positives, relies on a lot of AI and ML and so forth, really hardening those web-facing applications. Sitting over the top of the customer's cloud environment is CloudGuard Posture Management. And that's the solution that I'll spend a moment just drilling into because it is so highly relevant and actionable for partners. That's the door opener. That's where you can start to make money. It's really doing three things, and I'll come to those in a moment in a bit more detail. CloudGuard Intelligence is all about threat hunting. It's all about account activity, network activity for threat hunting purposes, rewinding and fast forwarding history, seeing who did what to who at what point, and catching the bad guys in the cloud environment. But the whole mantra of CloudGuard is it is security that is automated everywhere. So it's enterprise grade security. It's highly automated, and it is in all aspects of the customer's cloud environment, not just the network, but the workload, sitting over the top from a posture perspective, and so on and so forth. How do you know if your customer is a candidate for CloudGuard? So we certainly don't target all customer types. We don't really play in the SMB space. We're kind of SME, enterprise, and public sector. But these are some of the sort of questions that I'd be asking. Do you operate in a heavily regulated industry? So do you have an ombudsman who sits over the top and controls what compliance looks like? Is your cloud presence growing rapidly? And are you struggling to keep a handle on visibility and compliance in cloud? Are you operating multi-cloud? So, Windows Server on Azure, production and dev on AWS, for example, and all of the complexities that entails. Are you running mission critical workloads in cloud? So not just ERP systems, but Windows Server, SQL Server. Have you got sensitive customer data in cloud? If that's the case, your security and compliance requirements really ramp up to a whole new level. And of course, the kicker is, are developers working in your cloud environment? If so, you need to put some security guardrails around. So if you're working with customers who answer yes to any of these sort of qualifying questions, then absolutely they are candidates to have a CloudGuard conversation. So this is the solution that I wanted to drill into in a touch more detail. So CloudGuard Posture Management. You may have heard it previously referred to as Dome 9. So this is the new name for Dome 9. And from a Gartner perspective, what it's doing is cloud security posture management. That really means three things. It means customers having detailed visibility of the assets they have sitting in cloud. It's seen through a security lens. What is external? What's internal? What's DMZ? Enforcing rigorous compliance over the cloud environment according to the framework that's important to the customer. So out of the box, we have CIS, we have NIST, we have best practice on AWS, we have AWS well-architected framework, we have NZISM, GDPR, the list goes on and on. So enforcing that compliance, but then also remediating. There's no point in knowing you've got a problem if it's difficult to fix that problem. And so this is where the cloud bots come in. They essentially make it super, super easy to remediate or fix the problems that are discovered in cloud. So visibility, compliance, remediation. Now, the good news is that posture management is an agentless SaaS offering. So from a partner perspective, you can get a new customer up and running super, super quickly. Nothing to install, really easy onboarding process. And the SaaS portal makes it easy to add extra functionality and capability. Transit gateway, Lambda, no problem. It just knows about it. Don't need to install new versions. So that really is the first part of the presentation session. In the few remaining minutes that we have, I want to take you on a little bit of a journey around the monetizing and you know, how to make it relevant to our customers. So this is a typical cloud journey that a customer would go on. It really entails firstly building some things, then managing some things, and then modernizing around cloud native workloads. As a partner, you care around the professional services to build it. You care about the managed services to run it. Some of you will care about the consumption. The point here is that CloudGuard has offerings in all of those three phases, the build phase, the run phase, and the sort of re-architect or modernize phase. So highly, highly relevant to the journey your customers will go on. And you can see an example of what that sort of build and migrate project might look like. So this is a real one that I was actually involved in. But the point I'm trying to make here is that the CloudGuard licensing constitutes maybe only 20% of the overall cloud project. The rest of it is professional services that it unlocks, managed services that it unlocks. The confidence that CloudGuard brings helps the customer accelerate their cloud journey. And for you as a partner, that's incredibly lucrative. PS, MS, and the magic that makes it happen is the confidence that CloudGuard brings. So that's kind of the point I want to make there. Many of our partners are now starting to run CloudGuard posture management from an MSP perspective. And I just want to surface here, I guess, a few options. You know, there's sort of bronze, which is highly automated. You kind of onboard the customer, everything's automated. They get a lot of value out of it in terms of what have I got and am I compliant and so forth. But it's very low touch for you as a partner. At the other end of the extreme might be the gold offering, where you're bringing in some of the capabilities of CloudGuard posture management and bringing a little bit more kind of personal service and reviews and so forth, but charging commensurately. There are also quite a few partners who are using posture management from an advisory context. If they're dealing with a net new customer, the first thing they do is plug the subscriptions into CloudGuard posture management, run some security checks over the environment, and then it's eyes wide open, no surprises. So I just surfaced that with you for what it's worth. We also have a very powerful security checkup campaign where we can run a snapshot assessment of a customer's cloud environment, and they get a very detailed report on where they're vulnerable, where they're exposed, what things need to be improved. And we work with you as a partner to kind of ride shotgun and host a kind of findings next step call with the customer to surface some of these opportunities for you. So I'd certainly encourage you to embrace that security checkup sales motion. Just moving quickly through some of these, we have a really powerful partner seller incentive around the CloudGuard portfolio at the moment. So it's called Cloud Mania, and you can get yourself a US $400 gift card or a US $800 gift card, depending on the size of the opportunity that you register as deal reg and then close. And that runs through until the end of December this year. For all of the solutions we've discussed today, we have a 2-month free trial available. So you can literally have the customer spin up a POC or any kind of environment, play around with the technology, and we have some pre-sales SEs who can help you with that process. So certainly let us know if that 2-month free trial is of interest. Partners can't sell what they can't comfortably talk about. And the idea here is to drive some partner pre-sale certifications through some gift card incentives. If you go to Partner Map, which is our training and learning portal, if you do the CloudGuard sales certification, you get yourself a $100 gift card. If you do the pre-sales technical certification, you get yourself a $200 gift card. Now, I will say that that is only available to partners in Australia and New Zealand, but it's there nevertheless, and it helps to drive partner confidence and capability, of course. A good place to start with CloudGuard is the CloudGuard Posture Management 25 Asset Pack. So it's very easy to consume. It's relatively cheap. There are some amazing Westcon NSPs available to get that price right down. And it delivers a huge amount of value to a customer for a very, very low price point. So I just surfaced that one with you. We also have a range of cloud bundles calibrated to a small, medium, or large size cloud environment. And you can see there what they look like. It's essentially CloudGuard Network to do the cloud firewall piece, some CloudGuard Posture Management to provide the visibility and compliance, and then a management gateway if that's important. You can deploy those assets certainly onto AWS. If some of them were needed for Azure, then that's also okay. So small, medium, and large. So as we start to wrap up, we're coming to time. The next 6 steps that I would really encourage you to take action around what you've seen today and start to monetize some of this CloudGuard opportunity for your AWS customers. So definitely get your CloudGuard pre-sale certification. There's money on the table for you as partner sellers. $100 for the sales cert, $200 for the technical cert. Take us up on some of the offers for the customer demand gen events that you saw previously. An anatomy of a cloud data breach. It's really actionable, really interesting for your customers, and we can do a lot of the heavy lift there for you. Reach out to your customers and encourage them to do a CloudGuard Posture Management security checkup. It is an incredible discovery and door opening tool to have a whole bunch of really powerful cloud conversations, not necessarily anything to do with checkpoint, high availability, DR, backup, long-term retention of data, all those sorts of things. It will uncover those for you. Take advantage of the 2-month free trial that I mentioned. That's also very powerful. Cloud is all about testing and trialing. And then from a quoting point of view, the Posture Management 25 Asset Pack and the Cloud Bundle, small, medium, large. It's everything that they need to adopt best practice at easy to quote, easy to purchase, and very, very good value. And then last but not least, the Cloud Mania seller incentives. So register a deal involving CloudGuard, close that deal, and get yourself a $400 or $800 gift card. So with that, I would thank you very, very much for your time. We're certainly coming up to the 20-minute allocation. Thank you so much for your time. I'll open it to any kind of questions. Jason, did you want to cover any questions?
Yeah, thanks, Nigel. What we'll do, we're right up against time, so we'll collate the questions and we'll answer them at the end and or provide them as a part of the pack to the audience. That was a fantastic session. Plenty of ways to monetize AWS security with compliance with CloudGuard. So I'm hoping everyone was taking plenty of notes because there's a lot of ways to monetize the opportunity. And I was particularly interested in the CloudGuard Posture Management MSP, given that we're seeing such trends moving to managed service providers, from Gartner and Nelson Mason right now. So thank you very much for sharing with us today, Nigel.
Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so moving right along, we've got our next speaker is from Mirantis, Stefan Beaumont. Mirantis is probably the most recent relationship that we have in our cloud space, particularly across Australia and Singapore. But we have had some really good successes in New Zealand with our New Zealand reseller community. So with that, I'm very, very pleased to introduce the EMEA and APAC Manager of Partner and Alliances for Sales, Stefan Beaumont. Hello, Stefan.
Hello, how are you?
Doing great. How are you? It's what, 3:40 a.m. in the morning for you?
It's 4:30, so really early in the morning. But you know, everything is possible for Australia.
That's right. All right. Well, given that it's so early for you, let's crack on. I can't wait to hear your topic.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much, everyone. Can you see the slide right now? It's working. Perfect. So I just want to cover the Cloud Everywhere Mirantis flow. So as I mentioned, I'm Stefan Beaumont, and thank you for joining me. I just want to highlight, because it's the first time everybody can know why I'm the ambassador, because I'm the ambassador for France as Movember. And you know, it's something very important for me and very well known in Australia and New Zealand. So hopefully everybody know that, because when I talk that in Europe, sometimes it's not so famous than Australia. But anyway, we are going to talk about Mirantis. As mentioned by Jason, we are a newcomer in the Westcon portfolio, but Mirantis is very well known because it's a pioneer of open source cloud and container. Right now, we are 600 people worldwide with a focus on cloud and open source technology. One of our differentiator is really we are able to run both containers and virtualization. We are more than 800 customers, 165 new logos coming from last year, and now we've got a lot of very interesting customers. I just want to focus of one of them, one of the most important bank in France, called Société Générale. And it's very important for us to show that the customer gone, because it comes from a 1,000 server running more than 30,000 container with a roadmap already planned to move to 300. So basically, this big bank is running some critical application on this Mirantis cloud native platform. So we've got this type of customer all over the world, and of course we can share with you all of ours. The other things I want to show is the G2, which is a Gartner related organization that does survey, especially on container management, which show customer feedback, and that place Mirantis as a leader. You have Red Hat, which is much more thorough down, Rancher also, but also you can see AWS EKS based on open source containerd, than Mirantis and former Docker is number one. So AWS is using our technology because, as you may know, Mirantis is really engaged in the open source. So basically, we give, as a company, OpenStack to the open infrastructure application, and we provide containerd technology to the cloud native foundation. Really important for us is to show the history. Historically, Mirantis is born in 2011, and they bring this OpenStack flow very at a high level. Mirantis acquired Docker 2 years ago right now to combine both virtualization and Kubernetes and containers in the same product to produce one product now, GA for 2 months right now, called Mirantis Flow. So Mirantis Flow is really based on the story of OpenStack at Mirantis, but also the acquisition and the new development made by Mirantis with the acquisition of Docker Enterprise. Basically, what Mirantis Flow is, it's an open source cloud native data center as a service. As you say, the GA was September 16, and right now, what is made for? Basically, with this cloud native data center platform, we want to have a self-service virtualization, but also Kubernetes as a service. So it's really important for us to have this both way to drive it, with of course a very interesting service and level of service we can provide. This open source cloud native provide with Neurontis all the stack in the middle of the application and the infrastructure you can provide. You can see here basically all the product embedded in this cloud native platform we are working with. And as you can see, there is some cloud native product in blue, but also very famous open source innovation we provide, especially with Lens. Lens is an IDE, and we can provide it. Now there is more 2,000 user of this Lens and more than 70,000 star getter for this product. We build also a large number of partnership, and you can find with a better together operation with Westcon, of course. Some of the product, and less especially, is of course available on the AWS marketplace, and something we can cover very easily. Basically, what is the view of Neurontis Flow? Neurontis Flow is we want to address a number of workloads, be able to make it happen very easily based on OpenStack for virtualization, or for MKE or K0 for the containerization. And you can work, of course, on AWS, but only on any platform. So this Neurontis Container Cloud provide the capacity to develop and to operate any workload on any cloud everywhere, whatever is the infrastructure. How it's delivered, because based on our model, we've got of course the product, but also we've got a managed service offer called Obscare. So Obscare Plus is the backbone to deliver the cloud native data center as a service. With this Obscare Plus subscription, we can accompany by the Neurontis Cloud Native software to deliver a service experience in your data center or the data center of your customer. Of course, Obscare Plus, we take the responsibility for design, deployment, monitoring, management, operation, lifecycle management, and scaling the infrastructure. Of course, all this stuff could be done on your behalf with your help. We've got this Obscare 2.0 or a full managed services by Neurontis. We can resell as is in your portfolio as partner. So it's called Obscare Plus. Of course, this package with Neurontis Flow is really now available for $180K for the first year. That's cover all the products we can have. So MOS, MKE, Container Cloud License, Obscare Plus, also Lens Spaces, and that's available for 1,000 core CPU or vCPU licenses, all inclusive, to make this stuff happen. And it's very important for us to have this all-included package to help you and to provide to your customer a full stack operation in less than 2 days when all the infrastructure is ready. So basically, with Neurontis Flow, we want to slash the effort for managing infrastructure, to simplify it. Neurontis Flow also give the capability for the evolution of the infrastructure. You have some former legacy to modernize. It's possibly with this offer. We can eliminate friction with infrastructure, because with the services we can provide, we help to all the team to deliver these services. And also Neurontis Flow empower your open source strategy. That's make you very important in the modernization of the infrastructure. Of this offer, the mantra of Neurontis is really based on the capability to ship code faster. So with this simplification and its all-inclusive data center as a service, we want to provide more agility for any application to be in production. Of course, with 3 very important topics: simplicity, that we can give the same experience than any public cloud to private cloud or hybrid strategy. and we have this complete app and DevOps portability. Of course, security is a differentiator for Mirantis Kubernetes Engine and Mirantis Container Cloud in particular. We provide built-in prefigured security at the number of layers within this technology stack that are going to ensure that developers don't need to worry about security. It's essentially invisible, but they can focus continuously getting their code into faster production. When we think about choice, we are talking at every level of the stack. You don't have to choose any, and we don't want to lock you at any cloud, any infrastructure, any virtualization, or any OS server. So these three topics are very important in our philosophy. Our mission is really to develop and to transform expensive legacy compute infrastructure to a cloud everywhere model as a service. We recognize we choose as software vendors, the software sells isn't the end of the story. It's just the start of a journey together. So we want to know that the vendor has a vision and you can sign it, and this is our vision. We will transform your on-premise data center into your cloud everywhere operated as a service. It's really important for us to present this Mirantis flow to you as a container as a service platform. We really want to have this dev and ops operation, this development and operation all together based on as a cloud, and we will operate as a service with guarantee outcome. We are be cost efficient, consistent everywhere, whatever it is, distributed across edge, bare metal, data center, and public cloud. Of course, be secure by default. Offer the full breadth and pipeline of cloud native ecosystem innovation, and thanks to the pure open source foundation of this platform, you can have some freedom and you can evaluate very easily. We offer you the solution as is with Amazon. You can already got in your environment with the same easy of use, and of course we are able to provide platform management, and we are able to manage it your cloud wherever it is to help you and to make some OpenStack but also Kubernetes deployment. So we are very engaged in this cloud everywhere as a service. We are going to help your customer to erase this problem by managing all this technology, whatever the environment you have to face, based on public cloud, but also based on any data center you can face. Today, we are able to do this anywhere, whatever is the infrastructure or the public cloud is one of the most important Mirantis differentiator. As you can see, we've got a large partner ecosystem we can face thanks to the open source and all the CNCF alliance we can do. Just to finish on that, it's of course with Westcon we've got a new partnership, and it's very important for us to develop in the region with link with them. We revamped our partner portal a few weeks ago, and now you can find a new very simple deal registration to protect your pre-sales investment. We will share afterwards all the details of that. And of course, we will have also some net new logo incentive we can build together, and we've got some final stage, and we can announce it really in the near days, because our Q4 is starting on November, and we are going to build some incentives, especially for the Australia, New Zealand, and Singapore region. And of course, you can find also on our website a free trial of this Mirantis Flow platform, so Mirantis Container Cloud. You can easily work with this free trial. Is based on the deployment and partnership we've got with Equinix, so you can start and in less than 2 minutes use the Mirantis Cloud platform based on our website. You can find it. So thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate to join this first public event with Westcon. So thanks a lot, and don't hesitate to ask any question if needed.
Thanks, Stefan. Thanks very much. Let's see if we have any. We've got a couple of minutes. I don't see any come up just right at the moment. Okay. Well, generally that tells me that the session was so comprehensive that the audience doesn't have anything they need to ask. You've covered it all. So thanks for that. Thanks for covering the topics. And if there are any subsequent questions, if there are any subsequent questions, anybody put them into the chat, and we can add those to the list through as we've been gathering throughout the day. And
don't hesitate.
And go back to and respond to the attendees. Thanks, Stefan.
Okay,
enjoy the rest of your morning.
Yes. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye-bye. Okay, so we've got one more speaker before we move back into the combined session. And I'm pleased to introduce to you Ross Traynor from Cisco. So Ross is the secure workload and analytics specialist, sales specialist, and his topic today is protecting your critical workloads with Cisco Secure Cloud Analytics. So welcome, Ross from Cisco. How are you?
Good morning from here. How are you doing?
Doing great.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's probably late afternoon for everyone, is it?
For Australia and New Zealand, getting later in the afternoon. For Singapore, it's still morning, just coming up to
11. Coming up to 11 here. So yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Over to you, Ross.
All right. So let me just move into presentation mode. Can you just confirm sharing okay?
We can see you perfectly.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for having me this afternoon. I'm going to talk to you about secure cloud analytics. I'm one of Cisco's regional sales specialists within our secure workload and analytics team. So we have a few solutions under there, but today I'm going to talk to you about secure cloud analytics. So if we move on to the agenda, I'm just going to give you a bit of an overview of what secure cloud analytics is, the business outcomes, some of the key features as well, and talk to you about a couple of references and case studies at the end. So just wanted to set the scene a little bit. I mean, I'm sure we're all very aware of the current challenges within our network security environments, but I just kind of want to lay the groundwork here for what secure cloud analytics does. So, you know, at the moment, you've got this massive adoption of multi-cloud, this hybrid cloud approach, but you've still got your on-prem as well. The majority of customers, you know, have that kind of hybrid infrastructure environment. But you've got these applications running across both. So that hybrid infrastructure. So, you know, that means there is an increased attack surface. There are challenges at managing these. And then you've got the unmanaged devices as well. So how do you accurately, you know, invent or have an accurate inventory of all of your assets as well, right across that hybrid infrastructure? So you kind of put all of that together, and what you've got is limited network visibility, an increased attack surface, and the time to detect threats across that infrastructure can be quite lengthy. So we really want to bring that time to detect down and reduce the attack surface as well through posture management. So that's what we're going to focus on today. And essentially, secure cloud analytics, it's all about visibility. Now, you may know our previous name as Stealthwatch Cloud, so we rebranded in line with the Cisco Secure branding last year, but it's a SaaS-delivered NDR solution. So network detection and response is Gartner's market. It used to be called NBAD, then NTA, now it's called NDR. So our solution here is SaaS delivered. It's able to monitor your hybrid infrastructures. So whether it be on-prem or the cloud via the same console. All right. Now, we're all about visibility, and whether that be from a posture perspective and where your risks are, or from a threat perspective. And that's what I want to talk you through today. So we actually use something called dynamic entity modeling, machine learning, and basically what that engine does, it classifies your network's resources into roles and groups. It basically looks at all the entities on your network, it tracks them, it profiles them, it gives them a role. You know, it's a DNS server, it's an OS, an Apple OS, it's a Samsung device, it's a network scanner. But we're baselining all of those entities and their behavior. Okay, and out the other end comes these high fidelity alerts, which not only warn you of where you may be at risk from a posture perspective, but also help you defend against threats by identifying those threats as quickly as possible. I mentioned CSPM, it's a bit of a buzzword, cloud security posture management. So that's built into our solution. So we have the ability to look at the posture first and then the threat if it's in the network later. Now, those alerts, those high fidelity alerts, I just wanted to touch on and say, look, we get feedback from our customers, our direct customers, to say that these alerts are 95% helpful. So before you can close an alert off, you've actually got to vote whether it's helpful or not. And so we're getting great feedback from our customers that these alerts are really helping them do their job much, much more rapidly. You can learn a little bit more from this URL, but I'll kick on. So I mentioned we look right across the hybrid infrastructure. So really you've got two deployment options. You can look at the on-prem telemetry. So we're taking your traditional telemetry from your networks like NetFlow, etc., taking that into our portal and doing our analytics in the cloud. Then we've also got the cloud side of it. So we're looking at the CSPs and the telemetry from them. So like AWS would be VPC flow logs. We would ingest that via APIs. So you've got this overall hybrid looking infrastructure, and you can see here right in the middle, you've got our portal, but you've got telemetry coming from all over your network. The top left there, we've got your clouds, your public clouds, and we're ingesting those native cloud logs via APIs, okay, including additional cloud provider services. If it's more your on-prem networks, then as I mentioned, we're getting that telemetry directly from your network or sending through our SaaS adapter, but it all goes into this central portal. And even on your private cloud side of it as well, working with your containers, of course, we're able to give you visibility right across those. So this is just a bit of an idea as to, we've been working with AWS for quite some time, so you can purchase Secure Cloud Analytics on AWS Marketplace. Our data center locations, we've got one in APJ, got a couple in North America and a couple in Europe as well. So you can actually select from AWS Marketplace which solution you would prefer. Is it the on-prem, or is it the cloud side of it, or is it both? So essentially what Secure Cloud Analytics delivers for you is visibility. That's the first and foremost thing we're delivering. What are your resources doing? What are they leveraging on your network, whether that be private cloud or your your public cloud or your private network? But then we move more into the risk side of things. How do you know if your resources are configured securely? How do I reduce my attack surface? So it could be configuration risk. It could be user and system risk. How do I reduce the exposure for my business through the actions that my users are taking? Could be looking at segmentation policies. How do I know if my segmentation policies are being adhered to? But underpinning all of that is behavioral threat detection. Okay, so how can I find a threat in my network once it's in there? So if we kind of separate this out slightly, this area here is your CSPM. Okay, this is your cloud security posture management. Risk, we're looking at reducing the attack surface, ensuring compliance. CSPM is only 50% of the job though. Okay, that reduces your attack surface and limits the threats that get in your network. But without behavioral threat detection, how are you going to look at the other 50%, which is finding those threats once they're in? And that's what Secure Cloud Analytics does. It gives you both the pre-event, so that's more your structural awareness, your policy and your compliance, but then post-event. So if something does get into your network, how do we detect that as quickly as possible and ensure our response teams can respond? There's a lovely document here, a lovely blog, which is looking at cloud posture and threat analytics, and that's written with StealthWatch or Secure Cloud Analytics and AWS. So please feel free to have a look at that. So overall, Secure Cloud Analytics is going to give you multiple different types of use cases here. You've got your more traditional NDR use cases, such as data exfiltration, data hoarding. It could be geographical remote access, unusual access. It could be just your scanning or internal recon. It could be brute force attacks, etc. It's more your traditional high-level use cases. But then you've got your more cloud-specific use cases. So, your posture management, as I mentioned, it could be overly permissive ACLs or stale access keys. It could be the root usage accounts. It could be new regions. They're very much more specific cloud use cases. So you're getting both of these put together in one dashboard right across. So that's looking right across your on-prem and your multi-cloud. Now, I mentioned about the alerts that we're getting. So these alerts, and again, there are over 100 different alerts built into this solution. I've just taken a selection of them here, but the fantastic thing is we get great feedback from our customers to say these are really helpful and help them do their jobs. So that's a good pat on the back for us there that we're doing our job well. All of those alerts that I just mentioned, they're all mapped to the MITRE attack tactics and techniques. Sorry, a bit of a tongue twister there. So you can actually see in your dashboard, you can look at the alarm, you can see where it forms under the tactics and the techniques. It's giving you some kind of idea on a description. You can pivot to MITRE for more information, but you can change the priority of these alerts if you so wish. You can see there under priority, it's got it as normal. You can increase or decrease the prioritization of that as well. But it helps you to map those alerts to their tactics and techniques. So let's talk about real world relevancy here. What does all this mean? Well, first of all, as I've mentioned, it's visibility. It's visibility across your hybrid infrastructure. It's giving you the ability to focus on the critical threats, so producing high fidelity, low noise alerts, so your response teams can get straight to the core of the problem much, much more rapidly. We're also able, because of these high fidelity alerts, we're able to reduce the volume of alarms that you're getting, which has a knock-on effect to the time to detect from your response team. So we can help reduce both. Now that's all from a visibility perspective and threat detection perspective, but we've also got that CSPM functionality built in as well. Okay, so you're getting that ability to collaborate between DevOps and SecOps there. SecOps finds, an area which is non-compliant, bit of a risk, advises DevOps. DevOps goes and manages that risk and remediates, and then SecOps can keep an eye on that for you. Obviously, being SaaS delivered, we're able to scale with your business needs. You're using your existing investments in the cloud or on-prem to get us that telemetry. As you would expect, super quick to deploy. In fact, within 15 minutes after you've done it a few times, maybe half an hour the first time you do it, but as soon as you've got that deployed, you're getting alerts and alarms straight away. So some alerts come on, they're binary alerts, they come on as soon as you switch it on. Other alerts, because it's behavioral, will take time to learn over the baselining period. But again, it's that unified view that we're giving you across your entire framework here. So just wanted to talk to you about some case studies, some references here. So we've got this is a US news media. They've got 4 million subscribers. They looked at it because it was really easy to purchase. First of all, either directly via Cisco or through AWS Marketplace. Really quick, rapid deployment. So again, I can't stress enough how valuable this is. We have another solution called Secure Network Analytics, and it's an on-prem solution. It takes a little bit longer to tune and configure. With Secure Cloud Analytics, it's done automatically for you. It's doing the profiling, the tracking, the classifying of roles. So it's taking the pressure off you so you can deploy it, and it's pretty much plug and play in that regard. We also had one of our technology partners, Aspire, and this is from an MSSP perspective. They deployed secure cloud analytics in 2 hours on the customer's network. And the SOC team was able to look through all of that network behavior to track some malware. They had some malware and they couldn't find it. They deployed secure cloud analytics and they were able to track that from their internal traffic. So obviously they thought it was extremely useful. The customer thought it was extremely useful as well. In Singapore, we got a Singapore-based technology company, and they're using that. They're using this to look at their AWS and other cloud instances as well for lateral movement, seeing who's doing what and tracking all of their entities. And then we've got a software development company as well, and that was more of looking at what the developers were doing. And you know how they were spinning them up, spinning them down, etc. So looking at a slightly different viewpoint from the rest. But there is a URL there at the bottom, which if you're interested in, feel free to have a look through for more. So just to summarize, you know, why do customers use secure cloud analytics? Well, I think I mentioned it a few times, but that hybrid infrastructure visibility, you know, it's across infrastructures, giving you that unified view. We're automatically classifying your entities and monitoring and profiling entities. So it's taking the hard work away from the operator to do that. No tuning or configuration needed in that regard. Then we've got this threat detection capability using multiple mechanisms, multiple engines that we've got, including our global threat intelligence Talos, that you can bring that in as well. And then we're moving more to the CSPM side, you know, managing that risk exposure, reducing the attack surface, detecting overly permissive rules or aging keys, etc. So you can kind of reduce the attack surface down and really address the critical risk points on your network as soon as you can. I mentioned about network segmentation compliance as well, you know, making sure that your segmentation policies are working. We can see who's communicating across your network. And then finally, from a response and remediation perspective, you know, we can, we are the visibility piece. We are the network detection piece out of the NDR market. So we integrate with a number of different solutions, you know, webhooks, we can get alert messaging, storage facilities. So you're getting the full network detection and response solution. So you can start a 60-day free trial extremely easily. I've put a link on there for you if you wanted to sign up via the AWS Marketplace. Equally, you can speak to your Cisco representative and sign up there as well. But there's a nice, easy link for you to get going with. So you can actually be looking at protecting those AWS workloads within hours. As I mentioned, once you've set it up, it takes about 15 minutes to 30 minutes to set up. If you want to know a little bit more, there's a URL to the right there at step 3. You can go and do a bit of investigative work yourself before reaching out to someone here at Cisco to give you a bit of a walkthrough. And I believe that is it for my presentation. I'll pass it back over to the floor to see if there is any questions.
Thanks, Ross. Thanks for being very quick too. A lot of interesting information.
Too quick.
Okay, we might have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Let me just check. Okay. Here's one. In Cisco Secure Cloud Analytics, how many detections are active from day 0?
That's a good question. I believe it's 30 plus. It's a really good question. I know by the end of it, we've got over 100. It changed not too long ago. It was 30. It might have increased since then, but it's between 30 and 50. Anyway, great question.
Fantastic. And interestingly enough, just as you say that, I've just been pinged by your colleague who says 30 plus. So fantastic.
There we go. Excellent.
Okay, and we've had one question that's come through, and I've got an answer for it also. How many days does it take to reach the baseline period?
It's a 36-day baselining period.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, so Ross, thank you for your time, and thank you for covering off the topic and the questions at the end.
My pleasure.
I think we're at the end of the session. I'm just waiting for some advice from the team to see how the tech stream is doing, because what we will do now is we will coordinate with the tech stream and then run back to the main event for the final session, which I'll deliver, but I can promise you I'll deliver it quickly, and then we'll have the prize giving. So let me just see how we're tracking. Okay, so you should be able to see on your stream, on your screen now, the ability to link back to the first session. So if I can encourage you to do that, and then we'll wait a few minutes for the technical stream to finish, and then we'll kick off with the final session of the day and the best part, which is the prize giving. Thanks very much, everybody.